let's get into today's graph. Okay, this is the first graph that we're going to see over here. They say to us here, the graph of f of x is equal to ax squared plus q is sketched below. Points A and B lie on the graph of f. Point A and C are the x-intercepts of f. All right, now let's take in all the information they've given us so far. Right, they've given us a point, and actually they've given us 2 points, which are going to be quite nice when we're about to solve for what we need to solve for here. All right, they've given us these 2 points, and we're going to need them in just a little bit to figure out what happens where. Okay, so let's think about what we can do here with the information that they've given us. All right, they say write down the coordinates of C. Do we know the coordinates of C, guys? What would the coordinates of C be here? Anybody? Somebody? Remember, if it's ax squared plus q, this is going to be a symmetrical graph about the y-axis. That's it, Asbonge. Well done. Good. Ooh, not the x. Remember, C is an x-intercept. And we know that at the x-intercept, which value is actually equal to 0? Our y is going to be equal to 0. So we know that this point is actually going to be -2 and 0. Okay, cool. So no worries, Rabetwe. We make the mistakes here so we don't make them during a test, hey? We must make them here. Right, so we can write C, open brackets, -2, 0. Now the question says here, determine the equation of f. Right, now there's a lot of things to be done here, guys. Okay, we need 2 things in our equation of f. We need A and we need Q. So we need to find 2 things. Anybody got any strategy? How are we going to solve for y is equal to ax squared plus q? Any ideas, anyone? Good, Samuel. I like that thinking. 100%, it's simultaneously. Very, very true. I agree. Okay, we need to solve simultaneously. And Samuel's going to help us to figure this one out. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys understand what Samuel means when he says simultaneously. If not, give me a thumbs down. Okay, just so we can see how we need to explain, how greatly we need to explain what's happened here. Okay, Patrick says no, Anna says yes. Okay, I'm getting quite a few thumbs. Zoom user, your name for us, please, again. Namisila, there's going to be some subbing in. Yes, 100% there is. Oh, hi, Offense. We need to remember that. Teacher Nelly, we need to remember. Offense is Zoom user, ne? Need to remember. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Let's look at what oh, sure. Sorry, Amber. All right, let's have a look at what Samuel's actually saying. All right, so we're going to use the 2 points that have been given to us. And the reason we want to use the points they've given us is in case we got this wrong. So please don't use the point that you figured out to calculate for the other things, just in case you've got it wrong. So don't use the points that you figure out. Use the points that they've given you. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to sub in the values for x and y. Remember, this is x and y, x and y, and we're going to get 2 different equations. Now, this is what my equation is going to look like. I'm going to start with A. If I start with A, I'm going to get 0 is equal to A times 2 all squared plus q, and we're going to call that equation 1. Right. If we sub in the point B, okay, this is 2.5. This is 2.5. If I convert 2.5 into a fraction, what am I going to get, guys? What's 2.5 as a fraction? An improper fraction. Anybody? You can just punch it into your calculator and give me an answer. What is 2.5 as a fraction, guys? Yes, that's it, Patu. Good, Anna. It's 5 5 over 2. Now I'm saying 5.2. 5 over 2. Good. So I'm going to put over here, I've got 5 over 2 is equal to a, and then I'm going to replace x with -3 all squared plus q. And then we're going to name this equation 2. And then we're going to do simultaneous equation by elimination, guys. So we're going to take equation 1 minus equation 2. We're going to minus them from each other. Okay, we're going to go minus, we want to minus all of that from each other. So 0 minus 5 over 2 will give us -5 over 2 is equal to, we can clean this up. Yes, guys, what's 2 squared? 2 squared is how much? 2 squared is, I'm just testing you guys. Oh no, 2 squared. 4. Good, it's 4. And do you know what happens? Do you know what happens in your brain when that happens? You do 2 squared, which is 4, and then you multiply by 2 because you're remembering 2 times 2. It happens so often. It happens so often, I promise you. Many people do it. Okay, so now this is 4a, guys, because we had 2 squared, which is 4. So this then becomes 4a. What about -3 squared, guys? Good, is 9. So I'm going to rewrite this as 9 squared. Oh, 9a. Sorry, not 9 squared, 9a. And then I need to do 4a minus 9a. What is 4a minus 9a, guys? Good, -5a. Excellent. Okay, we're all in agreement. Q minus q is 0. They will cancel each other out. We don't need them. Okay, we don't need them. Q minus q is 0. So now we're solving for a. My next step would be to divide by -5 on both sides. You can punch this in your calculator or you can do it yourself. Okay, you're going to get a really ugly answer, by the way. It's not going to be a nice answer. What answer do we get, guys? -5 over 2 divided by 5. It's definitely going to be positive. Thank you, Teacher Nels, for that question. Will it be negative or positive? It's going to be positive because our negative and our negative will. They didn't even flinch, Teacher Nels. You were like, is it negative or positive? And they're just like half. Don't ask us such things. Half. They didn't even care. Half. Good. So now we figure out that a is equal to 1 over 2. Great. We've got a value for a. So we're going to go back in and we're going to sub a in as 1 over 2. Now, how do we find q, guys? How do we find q? How can we find q this time, guys? Yes, Anna, through the equation, but how? Good. Pick any point. Pick any point. You can pick A or B. Good. I like the point that doesn't have a fraction in it. So I'm going to pick 2 and 0 because I don't like working with 5 over 2. So I'm going to sub in the point to 0. Right. I'm just going to transfer this down here. So I'm going to get 0 is equal to 1/2 multiplied by 2 squared plus q. Right. Solve for q, please, guys. Therefore, q is equal to what? Q is equal to? Good. -2. Chloe, how did you get? Oh, yes, -3. I was about to say, how did you get -3? It should be -2. Good. I just want to make sure everybody also got -2. That's it, Nyeleti. Good stuff. -2, -2, -2. Excellent. -2 all across the board. Now, guys, we're not done. We're not done because the question says that they want the equation of f. So we've got to put everything together, guys. We've got to put everything together. We're going to replace q with -2. Okay, Asi says, how did we get -2, ma'am? If you look at this over here, 2 squared is 4. and 4 times half, half of 4 is 2, and then we're going to take the 2 and move it over to the other side so we can have q on its own, so that becomes -2. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Anna, I feel like you can teach my lessons. Sometimes I just mean your answers are just on point, on point, on point. Okay. Excellent. All right, guys. So let's finish up. Let's finish up. We then have to say f of x is equal to half x squared minus 2. Tell me if we understand, give me a thumbs up. If we're still a bit lost, give me a thumbs down and we'll have a conversation. Okay, for those of you who are going to give me a thumbs up anyway, and you're like, ah, ma'am, I got you. I got you. Easy stuff. Give me the range, please. Give me the range. Give me 7.3. Okay, Samuel, you need to wait for me to finish. You need to wait for me to finish to even give you the... Give me some time. Give me some time. Patu says, is there another way to solve this? Yes, there is, Patu, and I'm going to show you guys another way to solve this at the end of this. Okay. Londeka and Asbonge, you need to explain to me where we lost you. Okay. I can recap. I don't mind at all. For the rest of you guys, I want you guys to look at this question over here. Okay, 7.3 and 7.4. Okay, go ahead and try and answer those 2 questions. Okay, and see what it is you get. Namisile, the range is our y values. And Ayaz and Samuel, if you tell me that we're not including -2, if it's non-inclusive, you're telling me that there's a big hole in my graph at that point. If you give me round brackets instead of square brackets, you're telling me that my graph is defined everywhere except at -2, there's a hole there. And is there a hole there? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. All right. That's it. Patu, you're on point. You are on point right there. All right, let's talk about another way we could have possibly solved for this. Okay. The C. Good stuff, Ayaz. I'm not sure which bracket you're talking about, Asi. Can I just, maybe if you want to raise your hand so we can talk.
She's referring to the answer. There's like a 1. Can you say the 7.1?
Yes. Oh, no, that's just the way I cut out this question. This doesn't count. Okay. It's nothing. It's nothing. Like, pretend there's nothing there. Okay. Okay, Londeka says, ma'am, I got lost at 7.1. Where did you get -2? All right, Londeka, this graph is symmetrical about the x-axis, which means this point from here to there is 2 units long. Okay, which means if we look in the other direction, it also needs to be 2 units long from 0. But these are all your negative x values on this side. So the x value over here needs to be -2 and not +2. Okay, that's where we get the idea that C is equal to -2. Because the graph goes, the turning point is on the y-axis, the graph is almost the same. It's not almost, it is. It's the same on both sides. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, 7.2. Guys, remember we're solving simultaneously. Yes, I see. Mirantonton. Yes, it's a mirror. It's a yes, it's the Mirantonton. Yes, 100%. Okay, for 7.2, I'm going to come back and explain that again if you'll allow me the chance to come back at the end of the lesson. Okay, just so that we can move the lesson along. Okay, so we'll come back to 7.2 after. Is that okay, Asi? Okay, we'll come back to 7.2, guys. All right, excellent. Now, the range of y is going to be the range of f is going to be my y value. So I'm going to say y is an element of. Now, I know that I need to include this graph, and this point -2 and everything going above -2. But everything above -2 is going towards infinity. So I'm going to include -2. So that means that this is going all the way from -2 to infinity, round brackets. Or we can say this, we can open brackets and we can say y is an element of real numbers and y needs to be greater than or equal to 2, close curly brackets. Okay, so you can do either one of these. This is
-2.
interval. Oh, thank you, teacher Nels. I think that's why Jasmine put her hand up, -2. My bad, guys, my bad. -2. Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, we can use either of these notations. This one is called interval notation. Amber, if you write 2, it's wrong because our turning point is not at 2, it's at -2. And this other one is called set builder. Okay, this one is called set builder notation. Okay, Jasmine, what's up?
Just a tip for the range thingy. Infinity and beyond, right? So think about Buzz Lightyear.
Basically, yes, because he's going on and on and on forever to infinity and beyond. I like that. I like that. I'm going to steal that. Sorry, guys. I'm stealing jokes. I'm stealing infinity. I'm just going to steal everything from you guys today. Thank you, Jasmine. It's stolen. It's mine now. Thank you. I'm just going to start stealing from you guys. You guys have good punchlines. I love it. All right. All right, let's look at this next question because it's quite heavy. It's quite a heavy question. It says, write down the range of h, where h of x is the same as negative f of x minus 2. So, guys, we know that f of x is equal to a half, my handwriting is getting out of hand, a half x squared minus 2. If I want this to be negative, guys, if I want this to be negative f, I'm going to have to take this whole thing and make it negative. So what am I going to get? I'm going to get negative f of x is equal to negative a half x squared plus 2. But that's this part, guys. I've done this part. I've done the negative f of x part. What do they want me to do with this part over here? What do they want me to do after I've found negative f of x? What must happen? That's it, Anna. Good. I just want to make sure everybody else is with me there. After I've given them negative f of x, what do I need to do? That's okay, Asi. Excellent, Nyeleti. That's it, Asavuya. They want me to minus 2. So I'm going to take my negative f of x minus 2. What does my new graph then read, guys? What does my new graph then read? Clean it up for me and tell me what my new graph then says. Negative f of x, or it's not even called negative f of x anymore. It's called h of x. Okay. It's called h of x. So I'm going to go h of x is equal to. Clean it up, guys. Anybody want to tell us what it is? You can raise your hand and let us know what it's called. Anybody? Yes, Samuel. What's it going to be?
H of x is equal to negative half x squared.
Beautiful, negative half x squared. But Samuel, you're not done. You're not done, right? Because the question didn't ask for the formula. What did the question ask for?
For the range of h.
Oh, the range of h. So now you have to give me the range of this new graph that you've just given me, the h of x graph. Right, so what can I write for my range?
Y is an element, brackets.
Which one, the square one or the round one?
Round one.
The round one? Round? I don't
Negative
know about, oh yes, round brackets. Yes, round brackets. Then
negative infinity
beautiful negative infinity, semicolon, and then
is to 0.
0. And then what kind of brackets?
Round.
Ooh, round.
Square, square,
Now
square,
I'm
square.
square brackets, square brackets. Samuel, honestly, high fives, lollipops, chocolates all around. My dude, love it. Absolutely. You are on point. I love to hear it. Well done, Samuel. That was a really tough question. I'm going to be honest. Not everyone would have understood that question, but you did it beautifully. Well done. Samuel, you're just winning today. Today, you just win everywhere. I love to see it. Well done.
Winning.
Love to see it. Well done. Like, guys, do you know how hard a question this is? It's a very tough question. Okay. Don't just put round brackets, guys. Yes, part 2.
Ma'am, can you kindly please explain how you got like to that answer?
Okay, no worries, my sweetie. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, they've given us, we know what f of x is. Yes, they've told us that f of x, we've calculated f of x. We know that f of x is equal to a half x squared minus 2. Now, they don't want f of x. They want negative f of x. So what I need to do is I need to take my whole equation and minus it, correct? And multiply it by minus. You with me? So now I've got negative f of x is equal to, what's going to happen to this positive a half x? It's going to become?
Negative.
Good. Negative half x squared. And what's going to happen to negative 2? It's going to become?
It's going to become positive.
Positive 2. Good. We're not done. We've only done this section. We've done the negative f of x part. What else do they want us to do?
Add minus 2.
Good. So we add minus 2 to the end. Minus 2. Okay. Now give me my new graph. If we clean this up, my new graph won't be called negative f of x. It will be called h of x, because that's what it's called. H of x is equal to what? Do you agree?
Negative
2.
1. Negative 1 over 2 x squared.
Good, because these two will cancel. 2 minus 2 will cancel, so we will have negative 1 over 2 x squared left.
X squared.
Correct? Okay,
Yes,
if we
ma'am.
draw this on the graph, Patu, okay, do you agree my graph will go through the origin right there? Yes?
Where?
Because when x is 0, what is my value for y? If I make x 0 here, what will my y value be?
I don't know.
Let's substitute. H of x is equal to negative a half times 0 squared. What will my answer be?
0.
0, right? So my graph needs to go through the point 0, 0, right? Right through the middle. Now, is it a smiley graph or a frowny graph? It's negative a half x squared, by the way. It's a frowny graph, which means it goes from this part here and it goes down. It goes down like that, right? It goes down like that. Now the question says, give us the range of this new graph. Right.
But why
So
don't you
now
start
we need
with
to
the
say,
0 first? And
because we always count numbers from the smallest number to the bigger number. And negative infinity is smaller than 0. That's why Samuel started with negative infinity.
Okay, ma'am.
We could have also written, remember, you can also write y as an element of real numbers, and then y needs to be what? Greater than or smaller than?
Greater than 0.
Oh, if it's greater than 0, it will go that way.
Oh, smaller than 0.
Good. Smaller than or equal to. Don't forget the equal to.
to.
Smaller than or equal to 0.
0.
Brackets. Do you see it, my sweetie? Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Beautiful. Love to hear it. Okay, guys, don't be afraid to ask questions. I love to hear it. Amazing stuff. Well done, Patu, for asking, because then that helped me explain it a lot better. Okay, give me a thumbs up if the question we've just done makes sense to you. Okay, give me a thumbs up. I got one thumbs up, guys. One. Oh, there we go. Okay, there are my thumbs up. I was about to say, what did I do? Okay, excellent. Hope it's fine if it's a somewhat. Okay, you and I can have a conversation after this lesson and we can still talk about it. That's it. Offense, same. Okay, stay until the end of the lesson and we can still have a conversation about it. All right. Okay, that's okay, Asbonge. Stay behind and we'll talk. All right, let's look at this last question over here. The question says, determine the equation of an exponential function. G of x is equal to b to the power of x plus q with a range that needs to be greater than -4. What does this tell me about the value, this value? If my range needs to be greater than -4, what do we know our exponential graph has, guys? What does our exponential graph have? Think about your exponential graph, guys. Ah, offense, you're a whole G. That's it. I hope we all agree that our graph has an asymptote. And our asymptote is given by that Q value. So we can already say that G of x is equal to b to the power of x. What is my Q value going to be, guys? What is my Q value going to be? That's it. Owami, don't forget, it's not comma 4, -4. Good. We're already halfway there. -4. Good. So now they're saying that this graph, this exponential graph, has a range of y is greater than -4, and it passes through the point A. What are we going to do with this point A? Who knows? The point A is 2 and 0. What will we do with the point A, guys? That's it, Namisile. We will sub it in. Good, we will sub the point in. So I'm going to give you guys a second to sub in the point. Remember, G of x is the same as your y value. Sub that in and find an answer for B for me, please. Pop your answer in the chat when you're done. I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes. In fact, maybe I should give you 1 minute because you guys are really fast and doing an amazing job. Okay, sub in your x value and your y value and solve for B. Okay, 1 minute, guys. Pop your answer in the chat, or you can pop your favorite emoji in the chat when you're ready. Yo, Patu, that was fast. That was lightning fast. Anna, that's quite the emoji. That is quite the emoji. Meerkat, it's always the meerkat with the weird emojis. I love to see it though. Mirula said that his nickname is the meerkat. So I'm gonna start calling Mirula meerkat. I agree.
Oh,
Jasmine,
I thought it was Spider-Man.
No, it's meerkat.
Breaking rule there. Cringe.
Is he breaking the cringe rule? Yo, okay, we've got to tell, yeah. We've got to tell Mirula to watch it. Because you're being watched, dude. You're being watched. You heard, Mirula, you heard. It wasn't me, ne? It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was this class monitor. She said that you're breaking the rules. Be careful. Be careful. It wasn't me, ne? Not me. All right, guys. Okay, let's see how everybody got to the answer too, because you're all correct. Okay, so this is my y value, this is my x value. So we're going to sub in y is 0 is equal to b to the power of x is 2 minus 4. So I'm going to take my minus 4 over to the other side and it's going to become positive 4. So I'm going to have 4 is equal to b squared, right? And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. My brain kind of just went poof for a second there. Therefore, b is equal to 2. Normally, guys, we would say b is equal to plus or minus 2. But if we make our graph minus 2, okay, if I make my graph minus 2 and I draw it, it's going to go straight through my asymptote. So it can't possibly be the negative graph. It has to be the positive 2. All right, so now I can put my equation together. G of x is equal to, G of x is equal to 2 to the power of x minus 4. All right, give me a thumbs up if we're comfortable, guys. We're going to keep it moving. Remember, today is quiz day. Don't forget, quiz day, quiz day. Woo, 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 woo. Love it. Awesome stuff, guys. I know you will. I know you will, Samuel. You're that awesome. You're that awesome. You know, teacher knows I'm on a high, and I'm wondering if it's because they're doing the maths so brilliantly, or if it's because I had an energy, or if
we started on a high today,
really.
like from the get-go. Like
Right?
Samuel came in, like everything was started on a high. That's why I'm like, even the maths is on another level. Things are just getting cooked. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just mean, like, it's lit. It's lit. It might be the energy drink I had, but everything is lit. Everything is lit.
The vibe is vibing.
Oh, I love it, guys. The maths is mathsing. The thing is, the maths is mathsing. That's what I love. All right. Okay, let's look at the next question, guys. Okay, I don't want us to do this question because I feel like this question is quite easy. So I'm going to come back to it so you guys can take a screenshot at the end of the lesson. I want us to look at this question. All right. It's not a lovely looking question. I'll be honest. It's kind of ugly. It's kind of ugly. But I want us to get very used to this. Okay, I want us to get used to these kinds of questions. Bombastic side eye. All right, guys. Okay, the question says here, the following graphs have been drawn below for x is an element of, you see how they've already given us the domain, guys? They make it so easy for us to already know what the domain is. If they ask you a question about the domain, they've already given it to you. All right. Then they tell us that they've given us the graph of f of x, and I'm going to come back to that question, Teacher Nelly, if Sanda is still kind of confused. Okay, we'll come back at the end of the lesson. Then they say to us that we've got a graph of f of x is equal to tan x, and g of x is equal to a sine x plus q. All right. So remember, guys, whenever we look at these kinds of questions, we always need to ask ourselves, what did they do? What did they do to who? What did they do to who? Please finish finish the question for me. What did they do to what? Who remembers? What are we checking? What did they do to? Not to the nose, though. I can tell you, it's not what did they do to the nose. What did they do to the watch? Not to the graph. Offense, there's a word missing in front of graph. To the something graph. Thank you, Anna. That is not the correct answer, but I love it. I can tell you now, Anna, if I was marking your paper and I asked a question like this, what did they do to, and you wrote my mental health, I would give you a mark just for vibes. I would give you a mark just for vibes. I would. You would get a mark. I'd just be like, you know what? Because you're the coolest human being I've met today. Whole day made. What did they do to my mental health? No. What did they do to the mother graph? I love it. Oh, was it supposed to be a face? Okay, we need to ask, what did they do to the mother graph? Excellent, I love it. All right, we know that our tan graph, guys, have they done anything to the tan mother graph? Yes or no? They told us that the tan graph is f of x is equal to tan of x. Okay, no, they haven't done anything to our tan graph. It looks exactly the way that it did before. All right, so our tan graph, 100% no issues. We now here have to figure out what have they done to our g of x, our sine graph. Now, let's start with the basic questions. Where does the mother graph of sine start? Where does the mother graph of sine start? Good, it starts at 0, and Namisila, you completely ruined it because, okay, cool. It starts at 0. Right. And they've moved it up by 1. Which value tells us that the graph has been moved up by 1? Which value tells us that the graph has been moved up? Ooh, Patrick, it's not A. It's not A, guys. It's not A. That's it, Riabetwe. That's it, Asbonge and Namisile and Owami. That's it. The Q. Q tells us that our graph has been moved up 1. So what is the value of Q, guys? Q is equal to, that's it, is equal to 1. Excellent. We're off to an amazing start. Awesome stuff. Now, I know that if my mother graph of sine started at 0, my mother graph of sine would only go up how many? Up until where, guys? What would be the maximum point of my mother graph if it started at its original point? It would be 1. The maximum point would only be 1. Those of you who are saying 360, you're talking about the period. We're not talking about the period here. We're talking about the amplitude. My amplitude would only be 1. My amplitude would only be 1. Now, if my graph starts at 1, then my amplitude should have jiggered right here at 2. But where is my amplitude going up to? It's going up to 3. Good. So what is my new amplitude here? What is my new amplitude? It's not 3, guys. How far up has it moved? From 1 to 3. How far up has it moved? It's moved 2 up. Good, it's moved 2. So my amplitude is now 2. So what is my value for A over here, guys? A is equal to what? A is equal to 100%, guys. You are on the money. A is 2. Excellent. A is equal to 2. Okay, so do you guys see how important it is for us to remember the mother graph? Because once we don't remember the mother graph and how it's supposed to look, we don't know what they've done to what and where. Okay, now we've been able to, before we even start, we've been able to answer question 3.1. Do you guys see how you've answered question 3.1? We are done, guys, with question 3.1. Yes, Jasmine.
Which lesson was with the mother graph?
It was last week, Wednesday, where we spoke about the mother graphs. And then on Monday, we spoke about them again, just to make sure that we understood everything. Okay, if you missed that, I don't want you to stress, Jasmine, because next week, we're going to start a section on revision. So we're going to be starting revision from everything from term 1 straight through to the end of term 2. So we're going to come back to things like mother graphs. Okay. All right. Excellent stuff. Okay, guys. All right. Asi's like, finally, yes. Good. We're going to start. Okay. All right, guys. Excellent. So determine the value of A and Q. We've already done that. Okay. We've already done that. A is equal to, we've just looked it up. A is 2 and Q is equal to 1. All right, let's go back, guys. It says, write down the period of f. F is the tan graph. What is the period of a tan graph, guys? Because they haven't shifted our tan graph. They haven't shifted our tan graph. Look again, guys. Look again. Be very careful. Be very careful, guys. They've given us our expansion of, sorry, they've given us our domain. They have given us our domain, guys. They have given us our domain. It's not going to be 90. Think about it. That's it. Good. My tan graph, they've given us the domain. My tan graph, even though it's two of them, they've told me that these two graphs need to fit between 0 and 360. So our period normally would be 180 for a tan graph, but they've given us the domain. So the period of this graph over here would be 360. Okay. Excellent, guys. I hope we're seeing it and we're not just being like, oh, ma'am, oh, yes, yes, yes. I hope we're understanding why we're not writing 180. They've managed to fit two graphs in the domain that they've given us. Okay, so that gives us the period. Okay, yes, Patu.
So like, ma'am, if like the 360 was not, like if the domain was not given to us, we were going to be writing 180.
In this case, yes. Okay, in fact, you wouldn't even be able to. You would have to say 180 plus k times, yeah, times k plus k times 180, which is something you only learn in grade 11. Okay, you only learn that in grade 11. So they in grade 10, they will always give you the dimensions of the domain. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, my sweetie. They will always do it. When we get to grade 11 and we learn about general solution, then you'll see that the graph keeps repeating again and again if they don't give us the domain. So we need to then know that. Okay, Andiswa says, can you please repeat? Yes. Andiswa, do you see how they've drawn my tan graph here and here and there? My tan graph is between 0 and which 2 points, Andiswa? Which 2 points? 0 and? Good. Well, Rabbit is answering the question. Excellent. It's between 0 and 360. Okay, so the period in this case, the period of my tan graph, 360, because that's the dimension that they've given us. They've told us that the graphs have been drawn between 0 and 360. Okay, that's why we say 360 instead of 180 in this particular question. Okay, good. The next question says, write down the range of G. Let's look at G, guys. Which graph is G? Is it the tan graph or the sine graph? Tan or sine? Good, it's the sine graph. Now remember, guys, sine graphs have a minimum and a maximum. So we need to think about the maximum value for our range and our minimum value, and we need to write the range. By the way, when we talk about range, are we looking at X values or Y values? Range is good. It's Y values. Excellent. I see Anna saying that the max value is 3. Good. So Anna's already given us one piece of information. She's told us that our max values are 3. What is our min value, guys? What is our minimum value? What is the minimum value of the graph? Anna, you can't answer every question. Anna, give other children a chance. Okay, good. It's -1. Good. It's okay, Vasili. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm kidding. Minimum is -1. So now we've got to put it in terms of y is an element of. Okay. So now we have to say y is an element of, which is going to come first, my minimum or my maximum? Good. My minimum will come first. Round brackets or square brackets? Round or square brackets, guys? Good. Part 2. There it is. Square brackets. It was already done. You guys are sleeping. Good. Square brackets and then minimum. And then my maximum and then square brackets. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a chance to answer 3.4. Write down the values of x for which f is undefined. What do we know about this point undefined, guys? Undefined is where we have what? Where we have, what do we call them? The parts where my graph is undefined. Part 2. Guys, I feel like I'm fighting with you guys too. I just mean, you guys, before I even ask the question, you guys are already done. Not where it's 0, where... Good, it's the asymptotes. Excellent. All right. It's the asymptotes, good. So our x values are going to lie on the x-axis, guys. So what are my 2 x values? They're in degrees, that's your clue. They are in degrees, guys. X is equal to what? Good. Sure, you guys are on fire today. X is equal to, that's it, Sanda. Good, it's x is equal to 90 degrees and x is equal to 270 degrees. Good. Those are the 2 points where my graph is undefined. Okay. Now look at the next question, guys. It says determine the values of x. So we only want x values. We only want x values where g of x, which is our sine graph, where g of x is equal to 1. We can read this straight off the graph. We don't even have to calculate anything, guys. Just go look at your graph. At 1, at the point 1, do this. Draw a line. Draw a line. It's not a straight line because this thing should touch 360. Let's do that again. Okay, let's do that again. I tried, guys, I tried. Okay, let's look at all the values where the sine graph touches 1. I know that my first value is going to be there. Anywhere else, guys? What other x value touches the sine graph? Where else does it look like a road? Actually, it does kind of look like a road. Yes, I agree. Yes, Namisile, that's correct. At 180, good. That's it, Asbonge, at 180. And the other one, Chloe, please. And the last one, 360, good. These 3 points. Please, guys, in a test, use a ruler. Just use a ruler. Don't follow my lead, use a ruler. Okay, good. So my 3 points are going to be at x is equal to 0 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. All right.